Good to be here on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Bid Troop. Glad you were with us. So much to get to here on the show. We'll chat with Bud Ellis, BravesWire.com. He will join us. Braves got some bad news today. Mike Soroka, as you might have known, already done for the year. Not going to come back and well, he's done. Done for the rest of the year. We will not see Mike Soroka in a Braves uniform here in 2021. So hopefully he will get healed up and back ready to go for 2022, back top of the Braves rotation. Also, a lot of college football to get to. Georgia with an announcement for their home opener. We'll look at Bill Connolly's story. Who are some of the best teams to not win a national championship? And there's a lot of them that probably are worthy of getting it done. We'll get to that coming up in just a little while as well. But Ben, it's time for the Hawks to crank it up in the farm. Is that what people call it? I don't know. Why are you laughing?
Crank it up.
What do they? I mean, I only say that because somebody referenced it as that to me this week. Okay, well, Christian's laughing at me. He's like, I can't believe you said that. Well, I mean, that's what I was told. Well,
they're finna crank it up in the farm. Listen, what they better do something.
It's
crank
gonna
it up.
Be lit, guys.
This is, yeah. Crank it up. Get crunk. Pump it up. Whatever they need to do, rise up. Whatever they need to do, they need to get right.
Christian is already saying there's going to be more Knicks fans than Hawks fans. In there tonight.
I'll be surprised if it wasn't. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you ain't seen the video of the kid that had on like a Cleveland Cavaliers jersey, and then Cleveland was losing to Golden State, and he took the Cleveland Cavaliers jersey off with a Golden State. Like, hey man, listen, I go with whoever. Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot of that. Like, listen, wear your Knicks stuff underneath your Hawk stuff. Why? Because man, if they start getting blown out, man, I want to just go with, I want to go with the winning squad. But no, I mean, I think that this is going to be the defining moment for this young Hawks team, for the simple fact that while this Hawks team has about as much experience as this young Knicks team, I think the Hawks need it more. So I do hope that after this, it is 2-2 more than 3-1, because you know how it is, Kevin. Listen, we're front runners in life. If it's going good, we going good. If it's 3-1, now my ankle hurting a little bit more now. I don't know if I can really dive for that loose ball. I'm not really giving, maximum effort. So I want it to be 2-2 because I want all the pressure to go back to this ain't even about the Hawk. This is about Mayor de Blasio. What he going to do this time? He going to say something again? The Hawk has landed or whatever he did.
That Hawk won't fly. Let me tell you, Trae Young, that Hawk won't fly.
Exactly. And somebody should have said, somebody should have said, Mayor de Blasio, how do you spell Trey? Trei. Are you sure? No, I mean, I've been very, very impressed by this Hawks team because, MSG is a hard place to go and win. I don't care who you are. It's very, 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 very intimidating. Obviously, you got fans going out their way to spit on people, and 50 Cent is in the crowd. So, but I think that if they keep it tied up 2-2, Kevin, they got a good shot of, putting the pressure back on the Knicks, because down 3-1, well,
up until this point, up until this point, the Hawks have done their job, which is they've gone on the road and they took one. That was the goal, right? You beat a team on their home floor, kind of stem the series back in your favor. Now you're at home where you theoretically should play a little bit better. So we shall see. But man, I think coming off of everything that happened in Game 2, this ought to be a Hawks team that's fired up, ready to play, and come out and prove a point. Whether you talk about what happened off the court, what happened on the court, I feel like this is a Hawks team that should come out with something to prove a little bit, just from a toughness standpoint, from a resilience standpoint. This is a big game for them tonight. And then Sunday afternoon, we'll see what they can do. But I think, obviously, if you win this one, look, you can't lose it if you keep winning every other one, right? If you won the first one, eventually you're going to get the 4 first. So I do think tonight is a big one to go ahead and take the first one at home. So Sunday, you're kind of, I hate saying you're playing with house money, but it's like, hey, worst case scenario, the series is tied. Best case scenario, we're up 3-1 with a couple of chances to close this thing out.
Oh yeah, Kevin. Whenever you win 2 games in the series, you always go back. If you don't win the series, oh man, we had a shot. Yeah, when we won that second game, it really gave us some momentum. But isn't this is about confidence, momentum, being able to take full advantage of the fact that both teams are very, very inexperienced. Nobody, excuse me, got some in my throat. Nobody's really like running away with this series because at least this is a competitive series. Because if you've been watching the Nets and the Celtics, outside of Kyrie going back to Boston, ooh, Lord, those games be over in the second quarter. But I just want this young Hawks team to exert themselves and just have fun. And if you are a Hawks fan, please come out and support. Stop being entitled. Stop talking trash. Come on, T.I. Come on, Young Jeezy. Come on, 2 Chainz. Come on, Usher. Come on, all the celebs. Because this might be our one and only time to get a chance to have a winning team. Because it's been a long time since we've been able to say that.
Oh, come on now. The Al Horford days, they were in the conference championships. Now they were not going to beat LeBron and the Cavs, but weren't that year? They were the 1 seed and lost to LeBron and the Cavs. But I think this is a squad that's on the rise, Ben. If I look at it, so I'm not. Hey, you got to get 2 or 3 rounds deep or bust. I'm looking at a situation of look, young players, new coach that has obviously learned how to press the right buttons with his team. I feel like you'd like to win a series and show you're continuing to move. But I still think this is a team on the uptick. I don't feel like this is hey, we're here, and then next year they're going to be hunting around going, what happened? And it'll look more like a fluke than they actually have gotten better. I think this team has actually gotten better. It has a good young core to build around.
No, I agree. I mean, sustainability is hard. I think when you look at the fact that, Kevin, we forget Lloyd Pierce could not get anything out of this team. Nate McMillan takes over when he gets fired. These guys, and it's not like we talking about. It ain't like the Hawks are AFC. You know, I just think at the end of the day. Appreciate you, sir. I just think that certain times I had to get my. There we go.
That's a high quality AC.
Exactly. Let's exactly straight. You know, I mean, I'm just saying that straight from the Alpines of. Denver, Colorado. I'm just saying. No, I ain't know what to say right there. No, I'm just saying too, Kevin. And the thing is, now this is how you know me and Kevin are, just pro sports teams in Georgia like supporters. I say we ain't had nothing to celebrate. Kevin, hold now. But the problem is, Kevin, with Horford and those guys, we broke the band up. None of those dudes play for the Hawks. That's what scares me. If the Hawks team does too good, one, they're gonna play themselves. And they're gonna cost too much money because you're gonna have, Trae Young gonna want a supermax deal. Collins ain't even pick up his $94 million extension that they gave him. I just think that we don't appreciate how hard it is to make it to the playoffs in pro sports and to have a young team that's doing it. It's kind of the luck of the draw because we got another young team with a Knicks team that's always under a different level of pressure because the Knicks fans are like Dallas Cowboy fans in their mind. This is the year, even though it's not gonna be. I do think if Trae Young and those guys can come out, with a lot of momentum, from the opening tip, they got a shot to really put. Because I do think that this Hawks, if you want to call them the Hawks faithful, they're gonna come out and hopefully, Kevin, if we win, they win, tonight, they'll get a chance to hopefully, have a little bit more, what is it? What is red and yellow compared to, orange and blue? But it should be a good game regardless because Julius Randle is obviously the guy they go-to guy who got shut down in game 1, who actually had a better game 2. Trae Young and those guys, they live and died by the 3 in game 2. They're going to have more balance, going to have to make a couple of defensive stops, but I think it should be a good game all in all.
Yeah, it should be a great series. And again, they play tonight, Sunday afternoon, game 4 of that series, and we'll see what the Hawks have in store for the Knicks now that they come home again. Not uncharted territory, but uncharted territory for this bunch of Atlanta Hawks who have not had this kind of success since they've kind of come together in the NBA. So we'll see what they can do tonight. Again, had an off night shooting. Usually you would think they'll follow that up with a pretty solid night shooting here, especially being back at home. So to me, with Atlanta, it's all about can Nate McMillan get enough defense out of his team? Because offensively, they got enough weapons. I think they can score. Can they get enough defense out of this team to go ahead and go back up 2-1?
You hope so. And Kevin, I mean, you bring up a great point when you saying can they just get some defensive stops? It's not as if nobody is asking Collins to be Ben Wallace out there. You don't got to be Dennis Rodman, but in crunch time, can you force Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, or Derrick Rose to make to force a bad shot? Those guys are going to get their touches. Obviously, those guys are going to be able to create separation to get to that shot. Can you force them out of their comfort zone? And like I said, I keep on I don't want to keep harping on the fact that this crowd got to be involved. Like you got to. This is a playoff game. I mean, I know the Falcons it's been rough on us. They coming back hopefully. I get it. We've gotten used to the Braves with Acuna and Freddie Free and those guys just winning the NL East. And I know to the soccer fans out there, whoever you are, wherever you are, I don't know you. BJ probably do. You guys have had recent success, and people saying that you guys have won it all. Well, I'm sorry, I don't count that. I mean, nothing against you, Arthur Blank, and you're great, owner skills, but I need the Hawks faithful to come out, man, and act like y'all want to be here. Samuel Jackson, if you in the building, come on out too. I know you contractually obligated to only speak for the Falcons, but come on out. But no, Kevin, I just think that when isn't it true that when the Hawks are good and the Braves are good and the Falcons are good, it makes Atlanta that booming city again. And I know I didn't mention Atlanta United. I mean, I'm still working on that. My therapist said you got to mention all of them. I'm getting to that. But yeah, I do hope the Hawks come out and have a great showing tonight, because Kevin, if they can go up 2-1, like I said, that makes them way more, comfortable, come game 4.
Certainly. We've got so much to get to here on 3 and Out. Bud Ellis, BravesWire.com will join us for a look at the Braves and the Mets. Braves having to make some moves as well. Between the Mets and Atlanta, they've probably been some of the more injured teams in Major League Baseball. We'll get to that coming up in about 20 minutes. But when we return, Georgia has a big announcement for its home opener. And good news, obviously, for college football as we move forward. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. We're glad you're with us here on this Friday, rolling right along. Hit us up on Twitter as well, at Pigskin Radio. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, also live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube here on this Friday afternoon. Georgia with a big announcement versus UAB, the home opener. September 11th, going to be at 3:30 ESPN2, but full capacity there for the home opener in Athens. So good to see that officially. I mean, widely assumed that was going to be the case, but made it official for the home opener. Obviously, we're going to see more and more of that as we get closer to kickoff. And we were talking about this before the show about just obviously things are better with fans. But what are you looking forward to seeing again when you have places just packed out in college football? What are the best environments there when it's just elbow to elbow college football?
Oh my goodness! I mean, where do I begin? I mean, when you talk about what is it? The zombie with the whiteout with the zombie whiteout with Penn State, the jump around with Wisconsin. It's got to be something said when Clemson is like packed out and before the game when they touching the rock and they running down. I know it even though it takes Virginia Tech 45 minutes to walk to this, it's the longest introduction in college football history. Obviously, the We Are the Boys. With Florida, I mean, I hate to say it, but you know, when everybody at that place on the Panhandle of Florida is doing their whatever it is they do, but no, Kevin, I think sometimes too we forget how it's like I'm naming. Obviously, I name Florida too, but it's like it's so many things we can appreciate about the fans without actually appreciating the like the school they represent. Like I gave Florida State some love. I don't like Florida State the team, but you got to admire all the teams that do the wave is nice. I mean, Florida State be doing the swag surfing. What's the song? The song that go don't somebody do that? I can't remember the song. Sweet Caroline. I think somebody does that. But Cody, it's something bigger than me and Kevin trying to avoid. Cody, we have to do this all the time, man. You've been around us long enough. We realize you root for Denver. We realize you root for the Rockies, and we pray for you for that. We understand what you have to deal with that.
I know, man. 3 Super Bowls is just hard.
It is hard. It is hard. But listen, y'all won Super Bowls when TVs were like, not on the wall.
And actually, he does not claim the John Elway.
That is true.
Actually, Cody doesn't even claim the John Elway Super Bowls because you're a hater.
This one's for John.
They're not for John. They're for Terrell Davis. But you guys talk about me being new to college football. What I'm looking forward to most are the signs and the packed crowd right behind College Game Day.
I mean, no. I'm just saying, Cody. Cody? But this is the thing. What is the NFL fans aren't
or better? Yes.
No, they're not. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. Mm-hmm. NFL fans are fake. I'm gonna tell you why. The same guy that was wearing the jersey of the team he roots for will have on a different jersey the next week because in his mind they let him down. No, NFL fans are fair weather people. They're not real.
College fans are even worse. How many UGA fans out there are not UGA?
Whoa! You don't want to. No.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about college fans of football in general. Just football.
Because that's the one. College football fans are genuine because the two things you do the best when you're a college football fan, right? Root for your squad, 1, and 2, keep opposing fans up off your team. I don't care unless it's Alabama fans. You stay away from the conversations. But I'm saying college football, it's like it's a drug, man. It's what we love. This is how college football is more genuine. When your team loses, this is what we say, man, I don't even care. You know how we care? Because you said it out loud. Of course you care. It bothers you because we tie our, like who we are as people to the success or failure of our team. We shouldn't be like that. NFL, they don't do that. I'm sorry. I mean,
people are disowning me from like Gator fans. They commented on our Instagram today saying that they won't accept me as their fan.
What did you do?
I said I am rooting for LSU this year, but if LSU
wait a minute.
But if LSU plays the Gators, I want the Gators
to
stomp on them.
This is the problem right here.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. So first you just come on and say, yeah, they ain't rooting for me. They told me they're not going to allow me to be the fan. What did you say? I said I'm rooting for LSU this year. Cody, that's like, okay, Cody, would you ever say I'm rooting for, I don't know, the LA Raiders this year?
Dude, they got them like on fourth in the West.
No. Would you? No. Listen. Do you root for Kansas City now?
No, absolutely not.
Do you? Oh, you root for the Raiders now?
No, I absolutely.
I
know you like the Raiders.
No.
So
why do you stick with the Broncos no matter what?
Because, man, that's what I was
Well,
raised.
that's what we trying to. You can't listen. Remember how you just said how Georgia does? You're doing it with football, and that's blasphemous, man. We don't do that. Like Georgia
I'm
fans,
new to the whole
Georgia
fans.
No. Georgia fans root for other teams.
It's one thing to do it with basketball. You will not do it.
You can't do that.
For college football.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean,
so light the torches.
Yeah,
listen, all I'm saying is, Cody, the fact that this is how I know you ain't been rooting for college football long enough. If you're gonna root for LSU, you do it in private. You don't press sin.
I'm not very Southern either because I don't eat grits.
Yeah,
I don't stick to one college football team.
You are a war hero who's afraid of
I'm not messing with fish, man.
So hold on. So let me get this straight. Listen.
I'm a land creature, dude.
Purple Heart.
Different world, man.
Listen, for Purple Heart. I mean, veteran.
Yep.
I mean, one of the best human beings there is.
I agree.
Get that fish away from me.
Do not throw the catfish at Cody.
Get the fish. So hold on. So you like going fishing, Mr. Coastal Adventures?
No.
What?
No, I do not. I do not like fishing.
So
my son loves it. And I'm like, please don't do this to me.
So let me get this straight. I mean, when it comes to serving America, you the man.
Yeah,
but
I like shooting at stuff and shooting animals.
But you are terrified of pigeons and squirrels.
No, I'm cool with pigeons and squirrels. I just don't like.
So what is it about fish?
All right, so we only explored like 5%
because you'll feel dress a deer without a problem, but you will not touch a fish after you just picked it up out of the water.
No, absolutely not.
But why? What's wrong with this?
Because they're different, dude. They're completely different creatures. I'm not messing with that.
What do you mean?
I know, but what is it like? Is it the way they feel? Is it why won't you
I'm gonna cut my hand on the scales?
Is it because they're looking at you like?
Are they sharp?
Put me back down.
Are they sharp?
A catfish got some pretty sharp scales.
Has some, yeah.
See, can't do that.
But the likelihood of you catching a catfish is slim, and you're not going to be catching. Not where we at.
You can't catfish everywhere. What are you talking about?
I'm just trying to get. I'm just trying to get
out
in
the ocean, maybe not. But you go in a creek or a pond. You go.
And how long have you had fishobia? Is it fishobia?
Being from Colorado, there's not any fish out there. So all my life, I guess.
What do you mean? There's no fish.
There's like trout in the stream, stuff like that.
Well, the fish.
We're like, but they're not. So I'm from like a high desert. So there's like no rivers or anything like that near like Colorado Springs. So there's not much fishing out there. There's bison, there's like deer, there's
antelope running free.
Yeah, there's pronghorn. You guys know what a pronghorn is?
Of course, that's a fish that used to be a shrimp.
Sure, there you go. Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
That's not it.
No, it's a little. No, I will say that that's one of the things that my few trips to Colorado, specifically kind of where Cody is from, is. You drive out there, and Colorado Springs is really weird. I've told Cody this. He's like, you're right. Like Colorado Springs, you're in the city, and then it's like somebody puts up an invisible fence, and it just stops, and then there's nothing.
There's cowboy country.
It's not like it just trickles out, and it's like, there's a few houses, and it's like all of a sudden, no, it's like huge neighborhood, stop, nothing.
And it's like
and there's just antelope running around with people's cows and stuff out there. It's crazy.
So there's stop of the city and mountains right there.
Yeah.
And then stop of the city plains right there. So we're 1,000 feet higher than Denver.
It's just chaos.
So we're like in the mountains. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen.
I don't mess with the fish.
Listen.
There's two things I don't trust in life: toddlers and fish. I ain't doing that.
Toddlers.
Oh yeah, you can't trust them fools. Man.
Cats are also not.
Toddlers and fish. All right.
Thank you for
that's gonna be your new podcast. Welcome to Toddlers and Fish.
Toddlers and Fish.
We're finna get it in
with Cody Queen.
I want to get a sign on my house that says no fish or toddlers allowed.
So, but this is very interesting. I don't know how we got off college football. Would you have a fish tank in your house?
No.
You can't even look at them swimming around.
I just don't want them. They're untrustworthy creatures.
They're untrustworthy. They're delicious.
You can't do it, dude. Can't do it. No, they're not delicious.
Yes, they are too,
dude.
So
seafood's gross.
So a fish in a tank in your house that cannot get out. It's not like the horror movie where they're just going to sprout legs and come chew your jugular off. Like, what do you think they're going to do?
How don't you know that? You ever heard of piranhas, dude? I ain't doing all that nonsense.
Oh my good, with a piranha,
a little goldfish is not going to bite your face
on my many adventures around the world. I once saw a man get eaten alive by piranhas. It was crazy.
I saw somebody eat somebody on that movie Bird on the Wire
in a movie
with Mel Gibson.
In a movie, yeah.
In a movie.
With Mel Gibson.
I was overseas while watching the movie. Yeah, it was crazy.
So it's the piranha. That's what it's the piranha. Well, I don't like piranha. If that's
all
the
of
case,
them. Sometimes they got teeth, sometimes they don't, and you don't want them.
I'm not. Listen. I'm not eating the mouth. I'm not eating the mouth part of the fish. Just the body part. He's finna get tore up.
Nah, I'm not messing with
that.
So is it just fish? Like, will you eat a shrimp or an oyster?
I will eat a fried buffalo shrimp
or anything that's been in the sea.
No oysters, no fish,
nothing that's been in water.
No octopus. Yeah, none of that stuff.
Okay, I'm just trying to. You're being consistent.
I kind of don't really like duck
wait.
You know, they're like in that realm of unlike trustworthiness.
Will you eat it?
Have you ever been chased down by like a goose?
I mean,
or something like
that is true. Like, Ben, you can't ask a duck to watch your kids.
That is true. I mean, yeah. The many times I took my kids to the park, I say, "Hey, man, the Aflac duck told me he had work." No, I'm saying
so Christian's in his vehicle now, not in office, probably irate.
He is totally.
Before we get out of here, I mean, before we go to break, Cody. I mean, so you say you eat a buffalo shrimp? Would you eat a boneless wing?
There's no such thing as boneless wings.
They're called what?
They're called chicken nuggets.
They're chicken strips. So when people say boneless are traditional, just look at them. Boneless or traditional is not a real thing, right?
True, yep.
There's no a boneless wing. It's not a wing at all. It is a strip, and I will go to the grave with that. I don't care what nobody says.
We'll come back.
All right, well, you can't trust those people either. So there's 3 things you can't trust them.
There we go. We'll come back. We will switch gears, I promise. We will talk Braves baseball. Bud Ellis will join us. BravesWire.com when we come back. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Braves and Mets starting a series tonight. We'll have it for you as soon as we're done here on 3 and Out on this Friday afternoon. Braves trying to chase down the Mets, who are 2.5 games up ahead of them in the standings. Joining us here to talk about that and so much more, good friend of the show from BravesWire.com, Bud Ellis joins us. Bud, welcome. How are you?
Hey, doing good, boys. Happy early holiday weekend to you.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming on. And this is the battle of the walking wounded, right? I mean, the Mets have 17 guys on the injured list. The Braves with a boatload of guys on there as well. How do you even begin to figure out what's going to happen this weekend?
And it's crazy. We thought this division would be so competitive, but it may be that the healthiest team in September is the last one standing, right? You know, according to The Athletic, 15% increase in IL stints for all players in April compared to April 2 years ago, and a 22% increase in IL stints for pitchers. And it kind of goes back to something that we talked about throughout the offseason. You know, baseball players are such a creatures of habit. You had everything disrupted last year because of the pandemic. The season shut down, the quick ramp up to in summer camp, a condensed season, and then still, you know, a little bit, you know, kind of lacking some normalcy, you know, this off season coming into camp this year. So I know a lot of people say, well, they had 7 weeks of spring training like they usually do. But I think what we're seeing is a lot of these, especially the soft tissue injuries, are catching up to guys. And certainly the Braves have weathered their fair share of injuries, especially this month with losing Travis d'Arnaud and Marcell Ozuna, you know, 2 big bats in the middle of the lineup here in about a 3.5 week span. I think the Braves are probably ready to flip the calendar and get to June and hopefully get a little healthier.
But speaking of, switching to June, moving on to the next year, no Max Soroka is official. He's going to miss the rest of the season, out for the whole year, obviously. How do you assess the way the Braves handled this? Obviously, they did the best they could to try to keep the hopes up, not just for the fan base, but for the team. But it was just one of those things to where people don't realize, you talk about Achilles injuries, whether they pitchers, whether they basketball players, football players, it is one of the hardest injuries to come back from.
Boy, it is, man. And we've seen a lot of guys, you know, for every case like Dominique Wilkins, a great Atlanta Hawks star who came back after a bad Achilles injury in 1992 and continued to flourish for the next, 8-9 years of his career. There's a lot of guys, the Achilles are not the same. You know, the thing with Soroka for me that's concerning, and I hate to be this guy to put it out there, but in 2018, he made 5 starts. He was done with the shoulder. 2019, he was an all-star, pitched 174 innings, that great Game 3 against Adam Wainwright in the division series. Then 3rd start last year, the Achilles injury. I don't blame the Braves one bit for kind of soft playing this a little bit. I thought maybe they tried to ramp up the return a little too fast with him, you know, pitching the final, that final spring training game. You know, this is a guy that could be a franchise cornerstone. But I mean, honestly, what Brian Snitker said today on Christopher Russo's show on MLB Network wasn't a big surprise to me, because when they announced they had to go back in and do that cleanup procedure, I pretty much wrote them off for the rest of the year. If they get him back, it's a bonus. You know, when I think about injuries, I think about a guy like Ozuna, 6 weeks with the dislocated fingers, with the small fractures, Travis d'Arnaud, the thumb injury, he's probably going to be out a while. Huascar Yona and the broken hand, those are guys that you're hoping you can get back at some point in time. And to Kev's point, to start the segment here, there's so much attrition with injuries in the National League East right now. The Mets with so many guys injured, and we've seen it, cascade throughout Miami and Washington and Philadelphia as well, that if you're the Braves, you're hoping you can get those guys back for the second half of the season or some point for the stretch run, because whoever gets their guys back in August and September, that might go a long way to determining who wins this thing.
Certainly will. And we kind of got the Braves thought on how they're going to address Marcell Ozuna's injury. They recall Johan Camargo. I believe common wisdom would say that doesn't mean Austin Riley's going to the outfield, right? But he's going to stay at the hot corner, and they're just going to rotate it out there at left field.
Yeah, there's no way I'm touching Austin Riley right now. Go back his last 34 games, starting with that 2-hit day at Wrigley Field in Chicago on April 18th. He's got an 1146 OPS with 10 homers and 17 walks. For me, the big thing is the way Austin's hitting to all fields right now. The swing is easy. It's fluid. He's got a ton of confidence. He's playing great defense. He got off to an awful start this year, but let's remember, he turned 24 8 weeks ago. He's only played in 180 career games. He's still very young. And the way he's going right now, I mean, talking about moving him to a corner outfield spot, I believe him right where he is, because I think he's going to be a National League All-Star at third base. So what do you do in the outfield? Well, the Braves have plenty of outfield depth at Gwinnett. No, I'm not thinking about Drew Waters. who struck out 23 times in 68 plate appearances. You already had Christian Pache come up and struggle mightily at the plate. I don't think you want to do that to your second best prospect in the organization. You know, you can piece it together if it's 6, 7, 8 weeks with guys like Abraham Almonte, Phillip Ervin. One intriguing name for me is Orlando Arcia, shortstop by trade, who's only played 4 innings in center field in the majors. But, I mean, this guy is just raking at Gwinnett right now. He's hitting .326 with 8 homers in 20 games. And the Braves will get an extra year of service time for the former Brewers standout if he stays in the minors another 9 days. I wouldn't be at all surprised if you look at those Gwinnett lineups that get posted on Twitter in the late afternoons. See if they did with what they did with Riley a couple years ago. Remember, Riley was so hot, they actually stuck him in left field for 4 or 5 games and then brought him to the major leagues to play that corner outfield spot. I wonder if the Braves are thinking about maybe doing the same with Orlando Arcia as well.
And Bud, I mean, take nothing away from everything the Braves have gone through this season. When you're talking about Mike Soroka, you're talking about Huascar Ynoa, you talk about Christian Pache, Marcell Ozuna, with everything, not being taken from them, but understanding like where they're trying to go as a team. How do you assess them at this point in the National League East that you said the majors come down to who's the healthiest come June?
Yeah, that's the thing, Ben. That's the wild part, right? You're going into game 50 tonight. Tuesday marks the 1/3 of the way through the season, and it's certainly not what Braves fans signed up for. But I got a couple pillars of historical hope for you. And for those on Twitter who are telling me that the season is over, no, it's not over yet. We're not playing 60 games this year. In 2001 and 2004, this team was 24-25 through 49 games, as they are now. Both of those teams ended up rebounding to win the division. You go all the way back to 1992, the Braves were 22-27 at this point, 6 games back. That team ended up winning 98 games. And in 2005, the day before Independence Day, forget Memorial Day, on July 3rd that year, the Braves were 5.5 back. Now, I'm not saying that this team is as good as any of those teams, but what I am saying is there's a lot of baseball to be played, and the Braves wake up this morning only 2.5 games out. There's some things that certainly have not went well. We've seen the starting pitching really settle down. I think the addition of Chris Martin coming back off the injured list has helped the bullpen to coalesce a little bit. Shane Green's had 2 scoreless appearances in Gwinnett. I think once you get him back up here probably second week in June or so, let him get 4 or 5 more, opportunities at Gwinnett, I think that'll really settle the bullpen down, get guys back into their roles. But they've not been good late. They've not been good in close games. And those are 2 areas where this team really, really excelled during this 3-year run that they've been on. The Braves have to be better in late innings, especially offensively. It's been well documented just how awful they've been in extra innings. They're 1-5, and they only have a couple hits with the runner on second base to start with. But again, long season. Hopefully you get a little bit of spark from a couple guys here and there. Freddie Freeman's been hitting well. Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson have been hitting well. And again, that starting pitching has really settled down and is getting you into the 6th inning and beyond more often than not. So take a deep breath. Hope nobody else gets hurt. Let's see where this thing goes, because there's some big games coming up the next couple weeks, definitely.
Certainly, but one of the things highlighted has been kind of the talking point for me is that, yeah, the Braves haven't been good, and they haven't been able to get above 500 in a very competitive division. But that stat you just mentioned, I think people just brush that off like, oh, it's not a big deal. I mean, there's been nobody better in baseball since Brian Snitker got the job in close and late situations than the Braves. Like, that can't just continue forever. And I think you're seeing a little bit of the ball turn here a little bit, where it's like, hey, they were getting a lot of breaks, a lot of clutch hits. Now they're not getting as many, and people are like, what's going on? I don't know if it's anything different other than, hey, sometimes it's baseball and the ball doesn't bounce your way, 70% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, we think about, the hallmark of the Braves teams in 2018, 2019, and last year were coming behind in the late innings. You've had a couple games like that this year. I think about the Philadelphia game where they came back and they won that game. And it's like, okay, this is the spark right here. This is going to get them going. And then they go out and they lose 3 of the next 4. So it's been very back and forth. I look at this team, they're 8-8 in 1-run games. And that is an area where they absolutely just excelled like crazy the last 3 years. And at some point, you look around and you say, okay, well, they don't have their 3-hole hitter. They don't have their 4-hole hitter. They've had some, fluctuation at the bottom of the lineup. Now they got William Contreras playing every day and Guillermo Heredia playing every day. And Adrianza is getting a lot of playing time right now. But at some point in time, this thing has to click, and you think this team has got to be better in those late and close situations. And I tell you, as tightly bunched as everything is right now, if a team can really get hot for 2 or 3 weeks, they can really separate themselves a little bit, which again is why 3 in New York this weekend, come home, play Washington for 4. These are important games. And yes, the Braves are beat up. Everybody else is too. The Braves just got to try to breathe a little bit. The bullpen's been better, and the starting pitching, Drew Smyly notwithstanding, has been really, really good for the last 3 weeks.
But I mean, how much can be said for the simple fact that, you talk about the core, the core of this team was obviously Freddie Freeman. He's coming off a MVP season last year, even if it was 60 games. You talk about a guy like, guys like Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna Jr., all they know is winning the National League East. That's all they know since they've been, Braves. And you look at, you're adding guys like, Marcell Ozuna. You look at Christian Pache taking Andrew Jones, an old number. The fact that the core of your team only knows winning, and even though they aren't playing well, that's got to go a long way for those guys' confidence, because in their mind, until proven otherwise, they think they're the team to beat in the NL East.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, again, I referenced a couple of the talking points, historically earlier. I mean, that 1992 team, I go back to that year a whole lot, not just because I'm old either, but that 91 team, went from worst to first, made it to Game 7 of the World Series. And I remember in May of 1992, everybody in the city was like, what is going on? The Braves were in last place for a big chunk of May, and nothing was going right. Guys were hurt. Guys weren't hitting. But there were veterans on that team. Remember, Terry Pendleton and Sid Bream and Charlie Leibrandt and Juan Berenguer, and those guys who had been through ups and downs over the course of a season. And now I look around this roster, and I see a guy like Adrianza, who's got 7 years in the big leagues. I see a guy like Pablo Sandoval Panda, I want to call him, who has seen everything. He's been a World Series MVP. And you look at these veteran guys, Charlie Morton's a great example of that as well. They've been through it, and they know that all it takes is just going out there and letting things finally click. And the young guys, they know how to win now. They've been through some disappointments in October. They've been through slow starts. Remember 2 years ago, the Braves were 18-20 and on a 4-game losing streak when they went to Arizona on that second Friday night in May that year, and Josh Donaldson slid down to the cleanup spot and Ronald Acuna moved up to the leadoff spot. That team caught fire. They caught fire after the All-Star break in 2018. They got off to a little bit of a slow start last year, and then it kicked into gear. So I don't think anybody's panicking that's outside of that room, but it would make all of us who are outside of that room feel a lot better if guys wouldn't get hurt and if they would put some wins together starting tonight at Citi Field.
Yeah, it truly is phenomenal. But like I said, the fact they're still winning, Contreras has been excellent, I think, offensively from the catcher spot. Defensively, obviously, he's a rookie learning, but who do you think is the stabilizer of this roster over the next 6 weeks or so as you start to push towards the All-Star break?
I mean, I look no further than my captain, right? The last 15 games, Freddie Freeman has 1,004 OPS with 4 homers, 10 walks, and 72 plate appearances. He's getting on base at a 43% clip. But more important to me, it seems like he's settled down a little bit. And I know everybody is up in arms around the contract status. And I never dreamed we'd enter Memorial Day weekend and he wouldn't have an extension. And I've preached a lot of patience about this. And while I admit my patience is getting a little bit tested, I still think that gets done. But look, Freddie had a really wild 2020 with the COVID diagnosis and being away from his family, and then the 2 newborns coming in the offseason and being separated from them through spring training. Freddie Freeman finally looks like Freddie Freeman for me, that patented Freddie Freeman swing, hitting line drives over the shortstop's head. I look for Freddie Freeman to be kind of that, what he's been with this franchise since Chipper Jones retired. He is the guy. He is the stabilizing force. He's your 2-hole hitter. He's looked great right now. And of course, it helps to have arguably the greatest player, the best player in the sport, the best young talent in the sport, hitting ahead of him in the lineup. Ronald Acuna Jr. and Freddie Freeman can help this thing kind of stay stable until some reinforcements get in, be it guys coming back from injury or help at the trade deadline.
Bud Ellis, BravesWire.com, our guest here on 3 and Out. Bud, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, boys. Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. Bud Ellis joining us from BravesWire.com. Always a pleasure chatting with him. We'll have Braves and Mets coming up when we're done here on 3 and Out. We've got much more to come all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Friday. Kevin Thomas and Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. We got Braves and Mets coming up when we are done here with the show later today. We'll have Take 3 coming up around the corner, as well as we'll look at Bill Connolly's piece. Who are some of the best teams not to win a national championship? And there's been a lot of them. I think that's why sometimes when, Ben, you look at teams and go, well, they didn't even win a natty. Well, I mean, it's not like the NFL where there's 32 teams and you were just not like there's 130 teams and there can be but one each and every year.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, Kevin, I mean, obviously the best place to look is who lost to the national championship winner. And sometimes you didn't even get a chance to play in the national championship. I mean, for people talking about the great SEC and and every other conference kind of being behind it, there was a team back in the day that went undefeated. And the SEC didn't even get a chance to play in the national championship. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that segment. Got some great teams that didn't have. Sometimes, some happen during these games. But yeah, looking forward to it. I think we're going to get to relive the past, which I know old BJ Bennett loves, reliving them past teams.
He sure does. We've got more to come. We'll Take 3 right around the corner. If you missed any portion of the show, go to ESPNCoastal.com, Spotify, our YouTube page. You can get a podcasted version of the show, or you can just go there right now and hear us live and in person on ESPNCoastal.com, on our web stream, ESPN Coastal's Facebook page, Twitter feed, YouTube page. You can catch the show live right now as well. And, of course, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We Take 3 right around the corner next. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. It's Friday, and it's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hour 2, 3 and out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. So much to get to here on the show. Here in hour number 2, we will look at the best teams not to win a national championship. Bill Connolly did a lot of the work. We'll debate some of those coming up in about 30 minutes here on the show. But first, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right, Ben, take 1. Shohei Ohtani missed his start yesterday essentially because of traffic. There was an accident on the bridge. For them, I think they were getting ready to play San Francisco, and it was going to mess up his routine to start, and so they scratched him, missed it due to traffic. What's the biggest traffic nightmare you've ever experienced?
Oh, my goodness. Me and traffic, man, we do not go hand in hand with each other. I would say I'm on my way to a game. I don't know if this is my first year, second year, third year with the Titans, but I was kind of a little close. And the one thing about it is people don't realize when you are at a certain point, the traffic cops, they start shutting down the traffic to be able to try to make sure the flow goes one way. So I'm like, okay, let me try to use my NFL privilege here. I said, look, I'm gonna go down this road. I see it's blocked off. I go up to the cop. I said, sir, listen, I'm with the Titans, man. I need to get over to the stadium. I'm late. He goes, you're not with the Titans. You with the Titans? I'm like, yeah, I'm with the Titans. And he going back and forth with me. He won't let me through. So then he hit me with the thing. Kevin, he hit me with the 76466. We got a gentleman over here, And so he hit it. The guy comes over, right? The guy gets out of the car. He goes, "Oh, what's up, man? What you doing?" I'm like, "Man, your homie won't let me through." And he give me this look because they wearing different uniforms. He's like, "Look, man, this dude, like, we just work together. Like, I don't think he's from Nashville. I think that I'm not finna call him out of what precinct he was with, Kevin. But needless to say, he did let me through. I was able to get to the thing. But back in the day when my philanthropy, when that spark got lit, when I was an old young squire, once again, I'm with the Titans, and I was doing a read tour. I had an event in Augusta, but I also had an event in Atlanta. So I had 3 events that I had: one in Nashville, one in Atlanta, one in Augusta, trying to be Mr. Everything to everybody. Got it done in Nashville, got on the plane, flew to Atlanta, did the event in Atlanta, Kevin, and get the rental car and Atlanta traffic. I'm coming down 20, and I remember this guy on the radio says, "I hope you're not on I-20 right now," because it has been shut down. So needless to say, me and Atlanta traffic lived up to its persona and reputation. Stay at home if you live in Atlanta on the weekend.
I don't think I've ever gotten stuck in like Snowmageddon where you had to abandon your car, but I've had a bunch of the situation where you get stuck. Being from Atlanta, you get in those kind of things. But I think probably the worst was also on I-20 when I was a kid. I wasn't driving, but we were coming back home from somewhere in Alabama, and we got stuck in race day Talladega traffic. So if you're familiar at that point, I-20 was like 2 lanes going towards Atlanta, and like that goodness. Was the exit to get off to the racetrack was like the one spot, and we were backed up for like miles and miles and miles, just trying to have everybody in Alabama trying to get to this racetrack to watch Talladega. That was probably the worst because it was just, we're just sitting there. I'm like, aren't they funneling traffic to the people like getting out, popping their coolers, and little pre-race action going on out there on the side of the road. But it was nuts. That's probably the worst, where it's like you're literally just sitting there. I've thankfully not gotten stuck in a lot where there's been an accident where you're just sitting and not moving. I've always been in, the creeping traffic where you're not moving very fast, but I've never had to like be in one of those, thankfully. Where it's like you're literally like you're just sitting there and you're like, what's happening? No, like it's bad and all the lanes are shut down and you're not going anywhere for an hour, 2 hours. Not been stuck in one of those, thankfully, but that's probably the worst. Yeah, Shohei Ohtani missing a start. I know the Braves had a reliever back in the 80s, Pascal Perez, who didn't make it to the ballpark because he got lost on 285. So he just got stuck going around the city because he couldn't remember which one to get off, and they actually made him a jacket in the bullpen that had I-285 put on the back.
I'm just saying. When you're a big city, when you literally have a highway strictly for the city. Like it doesn't leave the city limits. What you mean? It's just a connector.
It just makes a big circle. So
drive around. No. It makes a big circle. Not just. Where y'all at? Oh, we over here. We over here by Kyle Parkway. Where's that at? Just keep driving. Y'all will not catch each other. But yes. Shout out to Atlanta traffic. It lives up to its reputation. Between the hours of 4 and 7, I hope you ain't got nothing planned because you will not get there on time.
Yes, it will be slow crawling. All right, moving along. Take 2, and this is crazy. Janoris Jenkins apparently had to use Hartsfield-Jackson, speaking of Atlanta, to fly out of town. He parked his $250K 2016 Rolls-Royce in the economy lot, no less, before catching a flight to Florida. Now he comes back. The car is gone. He said the airport isn't helping. He said, quote, the airport was in no way, shape, or form empathetic, concerned, or in shock that something like this could happen, end quote. What was he thinking?
Number one. Okay, number one. All right.
If I got a car that costs that much, I'm not parking in economy.
Janoris, now, I'm not getting your business. I'm pretty sure if you can afford a car that costs $250,000, you can afford a car, I don't know, $15,000. I'm pretty sure you can afford, I don't know, a cab, a Uber, a friend, a family member, a stranger to get you to the airport. I will say this. To those of you, there are airports and there are Atlanta, Jackson, Hartford. That is a universe. If you've never been to this airport, it's like a big freeway. It's always construction going on. And the fact that if you can even find your vehicle, like forget we're Lot A, man, we ain't even in no lot. Are we even at the airport? You might be a mile down the road. The thing about it is, Kevin, once again, we're way too non-confrontational, or maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. When you talk about a guy like Janoris, too trustworthy. This is Atlanta, Georgia, people. I love the ATL. I love the state of Georgia. But I'm just saying, crooks are out there. And most of the time, they just drive through the lot and say, hey, man, I seen this nice Acura over there. Dude, you ain't going to believe this. What you mean? There is a Rolls Royce out here. How you know? It got two big R's on it. And it looks like it's got to be. All I'm going to say is this. Airport people go through a lot. They got to deal with the luggage. So Janoris Jenkins approaching somebody saying, hey, man, y'all seen my Rolls Royce? They looking like this. Number one, I wouldn't know what that looked like if I did see it. And number two, if I did, I would hope that you were in it. Did it drive by us? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, 2,000 cars drive by us in an hour, dude. I don't know. Janoris, word to the wise. Listen, if they ain't finding your bags, they sure as hell ain't finna find a Rolls Royce with that many cars. But Kevin, I mean, I wish you the best, because if I'm not mistaken, Atlanta Airport, it has a cell phone lot. So they let you park to just use your cell phone and wait on somebody to go pick them up. And baggage claim, Janoris, look, I'm sorry, but I don't know what type of airports you used to go into, but there's this thing called valet. Yeah, you might want to have tried that, because I think that Rolls Royce might be gone home. You might want to try to, put in the claim.
I did think that the best part was like the airport staff did not seem very empathetic or like they were concerned at all. I'm like, have you been to an airport? It's like, but no, if I drive a $250,000 car, and maybe let's not say it's not a Rolls Royce, let's say it's a Lambo or something, not parking in economy. I'm going to the airport and say, look, one, I'm crazy for even wanting to drive this to the airport in the first place. But two, you got like a private lot or something that's like 24/7. I mean, this car costs more than a whole road
next to Priuses and stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, dude. Hey, where'd you park this thing? Oh, I'm in economy B. You're what?
Exactly.
With a Rolls Royce?
Wait, I mean, just imagine him parking, because it sounds like where he parked. Don't you have to get on the little bus to come pick you up and take? They looking like, hey, man, hurry up, I'm late. Did you just get out the road? Yeah. What?
Are you sure you want to leave?
I mean, it's like, hang on. Listen, no. When somebody says, "quote," listen, man, I ain't telling you what to do with your car or nothing, but you might want to look around. Like, think about this. Yeah, somebody goes, I don't even know where you get a Rolls Royce from, but these people, these are regular cars. Like these are Hondas and Toyotas. But dude, you got it too. I mean, I don't even feel comfortable. $250,000. That's a very, very, very nice home, sir. And you finna park it out here? Well, you know what? If it got stole, that was on you. You are not the best, in making good decisions when it comes to $250,000 vehicle.
I will say this is also a story from way back in the day. I believe I was high school age. My family and I had gone on a trip out to Colorado. Cody, we flew back on a red eye into, at that point, it was just Hartsfield International Airport. And so we go back to the car, right? And it's midnight or 12:30 because we flew back really, really late. And we're going to our car, and I see a car in the parking lot parked on the end. And again, you think, oh, I went in, I went through the little toll booth, got my ticket. I got to pay the guy on the way out. There is a car on 4 cinder blocks with no rims, no tires. They did leave the lug nuts, which I thought was nice. But I was like, ooh, somebody's going to come back from their trip and not be too happy because it's like, how do you not notice 4 tires just rolling out of here at some point out of the airport? But yeah, it's like it was on the end row. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, don't they have cameras or something out here? It's like, how do you not see however many people it took, I guess, popping up a car, taking all 4 tires off and rolling out in the middle of a parking lot at the airport?
Well,
but they didn't.
You know, they don't pay me enough at this airport to worry about your cars. That's your business. I thought it was the owner. I thought he was, changing tires.
Yeah, 4 flat tires, and you need to take care of it right there in economy parking. So not only did they not call a tow truck, it's costing him $25 a day to leave it sitting there with no tires. How about that? No, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, PSA for the day for all of you out there. If you have a Rolls Royce, don't drive it to the airport and park in economy.
I mean, how does he explain that to Mrs. Janoris? Hey, what a car, Janoris? Baby, you ain't gonna believe this. What? They stole the car from the airport. No, because you went valet, right? No, I went economy. What is that, Janoris? Out there with the. Mm-hmm. So you live in a gated community. You usually fly private, and when you finally drive your $250,000 car, you park it out there with us. Well, somebody is enjoying a nice Rolls Royce. Well, at least for the time being, because I would think with a car that much, I would hope you got some type of chip on it to be able to figure it out. No, somebody driving your car right now. Uh-oh, yeah, it looks like it's in Decatur. Oh, they just wrecked.
Never to be seen ever again.
They're running.
Sorry, Janoris, you are out a ride. Moving along, take 3. Are we talking Hawks up 3-1, down 1-3, or tied 2-2 when we come back on Monday?
I'm going to lean towards 2-2. I think both teams. Something you said, Kevin, in the first segment. As long as Atlanta keeps, they got the first win, they lost, and now it's time for them to win again. If they just keep that strategy, they'll be the first to 7, and dare I say, get their first playoff, win their first playoff series since 2017. But I see it being 2-2. I mean, I do think this team's very, very evenly matched. I don't see nobody on the Knicks that scares me. Julius Randle's obviously their best player. Derrick Rose brings some veteran leadership. RJ Barrett is definitely a young superstar in Trae with Trae Young. But Kevin, I see it being 2-2. This is why. I don't know if the Atlanta faithful gonna come out tonight, but maybe if they win tonight, they'll come out. In Game 4 and kind of show a little love. But I do think it's gonna be 2-2. I think that Nate McMillan is not giving enough credit for how well he's got this team coached, and they're not a defensive juggernaut, Kevin. I don't think they're ever gonna get that persona. But being able to make a stop, being able to force, Randle and Rose and Barrett into some bad shots, and putting pressure on those guys, because I do think all the pressure's on the Knicks. I don't know why everybody think the Knickerbockers is gonna, go anywhere past the second round if they do make it to the second round. But yeah, for me, I think it's gonna be more 2-2.
I see it as 2-2 because I think most people view this as one of the most evenly matched series in the postseason. And so I believe that the Knicks will take 1, the Hawks will take 1, and we'll keep pushing ahead. I don't feel like any one team is just going to dump 3 straight in the W column and it's over. So I look at it being 2-2. Maybe they win tonight. I think it'd be helpful if they did. Sunday afternoon, anything can happen there at the Farm. I'm saying that correctly, obviously. Christian was giving me a lot of grief about that.
Raise the roof. I wanted to raise the roof. Cody. Listen, Cody, I want somebody to come out. I want somebody to come out there raise the roof.
Jenkins news, he left that car for 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3 weeks at the airport.
So this boy.
And they got the police have footage of it coming in, but not leaving.
Of course.
Inside job.
No, wait. So wait a minute. The only thing worse on this that you could tell me is that it wasn't even in the garage; it was outside. So you got your Rolls Royce, $250,000, 3 weeks at the airport. Hopefully, it was covered and not outside, because that would be the only thing to make it worse. Just sun cooking it out there.
This boy done forgot where he. Not only did he forgot where he parked, he forgot where he took it. Hey man, where your car at? Man, I was somewhere.
Left it for 3 weeks.
I was somewhere with a bunch of cars around me and people were just parking. Were you at the airport? I think I was, but I don't know what city. Janoris, get an Uber.
All right, it's one thing. Look, I will even give you. It's one thing if you're like, hey, I got to go fly up to Chicago for a minute. and you go up on a Thursday and come back on a Friday, hey, I rolled my Rolls Royce. I still wouldn't, advise doing that. I would say that's probably not smart, but that's one day. 3 weeks? No, I'm not leaving my expensive car
this is something else.
at the airport for 3 weeks.
Here it is. Kevin just happens to be, him, the wife, and the kids just happen to be in Atlanta. They own it. Right? They drove. I said, hey, Kevin, yeah. But I'm not trying to put I'm not trying to dampen your vacay. Yeah. Did you guys drive? Yeah. Would you do me a favor if you don't mind? What? I left my Rolls Royce at the airport. I can tell you what lot is in. I mean, I'll give you your money back, man. If you go pick it up for me, man, I got your gas bringing it back down to South Georgia. Kevin's gonna be like, well, let me talk to the missus. She says it's fine. Long as she can drive. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's so many options that Janoris Jenkins could have done. Like tell the guy, hey dude, you working right. Hey, listen, I need you to watch this clip for me. Here's my number. If I'm not back in, I don't know, a week, could you call me? Because I obviously forgot 3 weeks. The story just keeps getting better and better. One, Janoris niggas got a lot of cheese. Two, I mean, you can afford to buy $250,000 car and you don't know where it's at. I need those type of problems. My goodness, Janoris. Matter of fact, if it never left, what lot was it again? Because I think I got to visit Atlanta.
At what level of car would you leave at the airport for 3 weeks? Let's start at the top and just work our way down. Like, would you leave a Ferrari at the airport for 3 weeks? No.
The only car that might
Would you leave your bourbon there?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say this. The only car that might get left there is a car that you already very, very like it's on its last leg, right? Yeah. Like you didn't think it was gonna make it to the airport. And it's like, hey man, I hope somebody just take it off my hands, man. What you mean? I mean, the carburetor's gone, the alternator blew out. But listen, no. Yeah, exactly. I want somebody to take us off. Like, hey man, we got your car out here at the impound. Now I'm about to call my insurance company.
That is take 3. Don't take your Rolls Royce to the airport and leave it for 3 weeks. That's another PSA for the day. We'll come back. It's obviously OTAs, getting ready for summer camps coming up in the month of June. We'll look at those. What should we be expecting to see from some of these NFL players? It's 3 now on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here, 3 and Out on this Friday, Kevin and Ben. Glad you're making us a part of your day. Streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Also live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter with your thoughts and comments at Pigskin Radio. Ben, we're going through OTAs. I had a lot of talk about who should be there, who shouldn't. I know we heard from D. Orlando who said, look, if you're on a team that won 4 games, you probably need to show up. If you're a player that had a bad, you probably need to show up. But what is happening right now here in late May for certain guys in the National Football League? Like, what are the rookies doing right now?
Depends on what your rookie status is. If you are Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Mac Jones type rookie, I mean, you are dealing with the fact that, one, you're trying to make sure you are getting more comfortable with this playbook, having a lot of conversation with the OC, with the head coach, and really trying to, see what you're going to do as far as you talk about endorsement. A lot of these guys make so much endorsement money now. It's figuring out how do I, structure my life so that my, personal life doesn't affect my professional life. If you're a late drafted rookie or a undrafted rookie, you want to make sure that you stand as close to the facility as possible. Make sure they can see your face. That the notion of the first man in, the last man to leave, in love with the game of football. Nothing else matters but the game of football. I mean, this is all about perception right now. If you're a star, you want to start showing why you not only are you a star, but you're the example. I lead the way by showing the way. I'm the guy who's still not only doing off-season training by myself with my personal trainer, but I'm also coming up to the facility because I'm gonna need these dudes to know that I'm not just a guy that's been good. I'm a guy that want to remain potentially the face of this franchise, especially if I'm a non-quarterback in that situation. If I'm a vet, it depends on what type of vet I am. Meaning, if I'm a vet that know that my status on this team is gonna be there, Kevin, like a Matty Ice, I think it's reaching out to these young players, especially when guys like the Kyle Pitts of the world, because I think you're gonna need these guys moving forward. If I'm a vet that understands the business, and I'm looking around saying, man, the Atlanta Falcons don't even want to pay Julio Jones. He's still considered one of the top 2, top 3 receivers at his position. I'm a good player. I'm making $10 million going into my 3rd year. When I used to walk down the hallway, see the GM and the president and say, what's up? They'll say, what's up? I say, what's up the other day. They both looked away like, uh-oh. So I just think that, Kevin, you got to really, really start asking yourself.
You ever get an awkward look like that?
I mean, no.
Hey, guys, what's up?
But I will say this. I was a guy that when I was a rookie as well as a vet, I did the same. I used to spend a lot of time upstairs, not because I was trying to brown nose or all these other type of things. I just want to know who else make everything run in this building. But yeah, I just think, Kevin, nowadays I would say this: if you're on social media and it's not showing your workout regimen, don't do it because they will use that against you. I don't know if it was a player for the Broncos or not, Cody, but some guy, I think it was a defensive tackle or offensive tackle, was working out towards ACL, was supposed to be owed $10 million, and they cut him. They're not gonna give him a dime. So I'm telling you, yeah, be very, very careful. And all I'm saying is, rookies, stars, vets, stay close to the facility. Understand there's no such thing as voluntary.
Unless you're Aaron Rodgers backpacking through Hawaii.
Well, I will say this. It depends on what type of money we talking about. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is lacking a lot of things. Notoriety and money is not one of them. I mean, he really guest hosted Jeopardy. And I was like, hey, man, when you guest host Jeopardy, do they got to pay you? They was like, absolutely.
Yeah, of course they do.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers, look, I love it. I don't love it that much. But I will say, Derek Brooks taught me this. The great Derek Brooks, the greatest weak side linebacker to ever play in the National Football League. He said, no days off. Because football, every day is an audition. You're not good enough. The only way you make it to the show is by showing up, every single day to make sure that, your part is solidified and they're giving you more lines. So never, ever think you've arrived. I understand Aaron Rodgers has made more than enough cheese at this point. Doesn't he own ownership with like the Milwaukee Brewers or something like that?
I have no idea.
All I know is the man is still doing State Farm commercials. He's in Hawaii with his, I don't know if it's his fiance. If it's not, I apologize if it is. Congratulations. But all I'm saying is, Kevin, everybody should be around the facility because nobody's slot is secured. I don't care who you are. I guess unless you're Tom Brady.
Yeah, he might be the one. But you look at how would you be preparing for 2021, especially because now it's a 17-game season. Now, maybe you don't prepare any differently because I believe there's less preseason games. So
yes.
Do you treat this offseason any differently, knowing, hey, I got one more regular season game to get to? Yes, less preseason games, but let's be real, Ben. I mean, if you were a entrenched starter, you're not playing in week 1, and you're probably not playing but half a series in week 4. So is there really any difference in preparing your body to try to make it now versus last year when you had 4 preseason games and 16 games?
No, I think the main thing is when you get older, Kevin, it's about just preparing smarter. Your body doesn't respond as fast as the older you get, no matter who you are. I mean, what you ate as a rookie ain't what you eating as a veteran. What you came into the league now, I mean, as a rookie, you've added not just to your athletic status or your stats, but maybe you went from, you got to think about it. Most guys come into the league single, no kids, right? Next thing you know, children, a wife, a family. So you've added things like father and husband and provider to your, and you got to get them to understand because the families are the ones who make the ultimate sacrifice. I mean, people like, man, why they be hugging daddy like that on Sunday? Because daddy been gone all week, but daddy leaves before they go to school. And by the time daddy come home, sometimes, they getting ready for bed and things of that nature. So I do think the families deserve a lot of credit for the sacrifice. But yeah, Kevin, man, look at Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady doesn't live a glorious life as we see it. We see him on Sundays. Yes, he's married to Giselle. Nobody's mad at him at that. And yes, he is Tom Brady, but his workout regimen, I mean, they said he go to bed around 9:00 every night. I mean, he juices vegetables. That's nasty. and I'm sorry, it's working, but it's working for him. So I will say it really comes down to you. I've learned that what works for me might not work for you, Kevin, and even if it works. So I just think that long as your job is to stay in shape, stay ready, and be prepared for everything. And if you're not doing those 3 things, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your team a disservice, and you might be on your way out the door because it's always going to be a young man's league. And, when you're talking about those dinosaurs out there, those guys 10, 15, 20 years in the game, they found a way, to smack Father Time around. And, hey, man, the Tom Brady's of the world, the Aaron Rodgers of the world, I salute those guys, man, because 15 years, I mean, most people ain't never been at their job in 15 years, let alone the professional sports. So hats off to those guys.
We've got more to come here on 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, including who are the best teams not to win a national championship in college football. We'll get to that next here on 3 and Out. Good to have you along here on 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you on this Friday. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Who wish to be a part of the show. Bill Connolly put together a list, Ben, top 50 teams not to win a national championship in college football as number one team. I think we all remember 1947 Michigan.
Of course.
That team was stacked. I don't know how they didn't win.
They wasn't on there. I couldn't respect Bill Connolly's list.
I mean, I think we all remember that when it happened. But no, a couple others on there. Number 3 was 2018 Alabama. 1994 Penn State was number 10. 86 Miami. 2005 USC. I think, what was it, 2001 Miami that didn't win, that got hosed to Ohio State. I think they should be up there on that list. That wasn't they didn't win it. It was taken from them because they had the game over. The game was over.
Chris Gamble, I like you, Chris Gamble. I know you was Mr. Two-Way Star, but that was a pass interference. That game was supposed to be over. But I mean, not to give the Georgia Bulldogs any love, but that 2018 Georgia Bulldog team was pretty special when you look at the fact that Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, DeAndre Swift. I mean, you talk about the guys they had on defense. I mean, I think what happens is, Kevin, even at that 2008 Oklahoma team that my Florida Gators beat. Yes, I mean Sam Bradford's, Gresham and those guys, they were incredible. That 2006 USC Trojan team that lost to Vince Young and those guys. I mean, they was going for the three-peat. I mean, Reggie. I mean, you talking about Lindell White and those guys. I mean, I just think Matt Leinart. I just think that Reggie Bush. The list goes on and on. Oh my God, the most egregious to me has to be the 2004 Auburn Tigers. They went undefeated. What you mean they lost? Nope. They won every game that year. Won the SEC, won the SEC championship game, won their bowl game, and didn't sniff playing in the national championship. Why is that egregious? Because in 2003, no. You know who won the national championship in 2004? It would be the LSU Tigers. They lost one game that year. That was to Florida. I was there. And they still won the Natty. I'm just saying, Kevin, I mean, and this list can definitely go on and on. I mean, man, that 2001 Miami team was always going to be. But Deshaun Watson won against Alabama. He probably should have won both years. He was the best player on the field both years against Alabama, even though he did win. That 2018 Alabama team is one of them when you look at, Tua and those guys or what may have you. But, I mean, could we say what? 2019 Clemson, that 2019 Clemson team. I mean, they went up against freaking Joe Burrow on them. I mean, it ain't like they was finna win that thing, but they was nice. And then oh my God, I'm sorry. 2020 Ohio State. They wasn't gonna beat Alabama. Nobody beat Alabama this year. Wow.
But was that team? I mean, I guess you could say they were. Well, I don't know if you could. I think 2020 to me, Ben, is a little bit different because you say, how historically good was that Ohio State team? Yes. Were they very, very good? Yes. They played 5 regular season games.
Yes.
So I think when you're putting a list together, and that's why I think Ohio State's a unique case because Clemson played 12?
Yeah.
Well, with counting the playoffs, they played 10 regular season games plus a tournament. Alabama got 10 in the regular season. Plus the SEC championship game. So I think, again, I'm not taking away from Ohio State's talent, but when you say, hey, best teams to never win a national championship, the team was very good. They only played 5 games in regular season.
Yeah, was the 2000? I'm trying to think. Was the 2000? What was the West Virginia teams that had Slayton and Pat White? Was it like the
2005
and 6? I mean,
their only loss was to Pitt.
Oh my God!
In the last week of the regular season,
Oregon 2014. I mean. I'm sorry. I mean that was a really. I mean, Marcus Mariota's guys beat Florida State. They stole something, but I mean, I wouldn't say historically great for that Auburn team that lost to Florida State in 2013. I would just say no. I'm sorry. Yeah. It was just Chris Davis and that historic kick 6. I think that would have just led to, hey, man, I don't know if Auburn was
I think that team was not as good as where they ended up. I think they were a good team collectively. They didn't have a lot of superstars and things of that nature. So I don't know if I would include that team on the list, even though You look at it and say, well, they did make the national championship. I mean, they did, but I don't think anybody would confuse them with some of these teams we're talking about. That team obviously wasn't even as good as that 04 Auburn team that I think famously, I forget who it was, one of the linebackers or defensive ends came out. I was like, who we got to beat? The Miami Dolphins? Like, and
people always talking about, historic significance of that team. I mean, that team had the number 1. I mean, then they had the number 2, the number 5, and I think the number 8 overall pick. Carlos Rogers, I think, went number 8. Cadillac Williams went number 5. Ronnie Brown went number 2. Jason Cameron, I think, went in like the 20s. So you had 3. Your starting backfield all went first round. Your starting cornerback won the Thorpe Award and went first round. You went undefeated. You went undefeated. Won the Iron Bowl. Won the SEC championship game. Won your bowl game. And Tommy Tuberville never even got a Tommy. Yeah, sorry, man, we got the wrong number. I thought we was calling somebody else for the Natty. But no, Kevin, I mean, I just think any team that lost to a national championship team could definitely be on that list. I think the most egregious might be the 2001, Miami, that 2001 Miami team. Because the whole thing about it.
I think they should be
the 2002, I think, Miami team, because Miami played Miami played us in the Sugar Bowl my freshman year. That got ugly. And 2001 is when they won in that, because I think they played Nebraska. 2002 they played Ohio State, and they got robbed. People, I mean, I'm sorry. Look, I'm not one of those people that just hope your rival team loses. I'm just saying, if they make it to the game, they win it. Thank God.
But that was a team I think to me fits the bill, because like they didn't win the national championship, even though they kind of did. But that team was loaded with NFL talent.
Yes.
From top to bottom, and probably was hands down the best. I mean, I know you look at the quarterback matchup, and it was why am I forgetting?
Ken Dorsey
against Craig Krenzel.
Yeah.
And you're going, that's probably not the all-time quarterback matchup, but everywhere else on the field.
Oh my God, it was. Let's see. Once again,
Miami was loaded.
Here it is. Okay, this is what made that Miami team, because anytime you mention 2001 Miami, this is what made them ridiculous. The starting running back was Clinton Portis. The backup running back was Frank Gore. Frank Gore got hurt, so Willis McGahee, he got to play. Behind Frank Gore was Jared Payton, right? The starting tight ends went in 2000. It was Bubba Franks, and I think 2001 it went to Jeremy Shockey. Behind Jeremy Shockey was Kellen Winslow. Behind Kellen Winslow was I think Greg Olson. Behind Greg Olson was Jimmy Graham. What in the world is that? They starting receivers were Andre Johnson, Santana Moss, and Reggie Wayne. Listen, man, you're not gonna be. Their starting safety was Ed Reed. Their backup safety was Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor was a backup. So what are we supposed to do? They just had players on top of players. And Kevin, like I said, Ben Hartsock, who we've had on, who I played with the Titans, was the starting tight end for that 2002 Ohio State team. I said, Ben Hartsock, man, did y'all think y'all was going to win? He said, man, we were saying ourselves just make it to the fourth quarter. And obviously the game ended up going their way, but I do think Chris Gamble, first round out of Ohio State, who did end up going to play, had a great career for the Carolina Panthers. I love Chris Gamble, but that was not pass interference, man. So, yeah, I think the most egregious outside of 2004 Auburn Tigers was that 2002 Miami Dolphins. Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, I think they're probably the best team never to win a national championship. You can check out the full list there. Bill Connolly, ESPN.com. Excellent story there on some of the teams who came close but didn't win. I just thought those are fun stories, Ben, because so many times we were like, oh, can't win the big one. It's like there's 130 teams out there playing. It is so hard, as we said, to two teams we can primarily focus on for ourselves here in this conversation. One was undefeated, won the SEC.
Come on.
And did not go play for the national championship. And again, we didn't have the playoffs at that point, but the fact is they were undefeated and did not, under the current system at that time, have a chance to go play for the national championship. The other team may have been one of the most talented football teams we've seen in college football in the last 30 years, is that Miami team. And while we think they won it, bad call, late call, whatever you want to say about the pass interference, that team didn't win. And they were probably the most talented team, top to bottom, that there's been in college football in the last 30 years, hands down. And that's including some of these Alabama teams and Clemson teams that are putting 12, 13, LSU putting 10, 12, 13 guys in the NFL. I mean, there was, I think, 12 or 13, 14 first rounders on that 2002 Miami team eventually at the end of the day. So look, I think you look at those and say, all right, you're going to be mad at your coach for not winning it. It's very, very difficult. I think that's why there is so much pressure on the Kirby Smarts. Like, when you're there, you've got to do it, right? I mean,
yeah,
because in the moment you're sitting there thinking, all right, Jake Fromm, we've walked off the field, we got the lead, right? Our defense, you get the sack on first down. You're thinking, okay,
it all went like I mean, what?
But I'm saying, but you get the sack, you're thinking, okay, here it is. And you've been trying to track that back down for the last couple of years. It is hard in the moment. I think that's why as sports fans, sometimes we say they don't win the Natty. I think that's a little too tough, but I do think in the moment when you are there and you have your opportunity, you have got to win it when you're there, because just the people that look at what Alabama's doing and other teams is like, people think that's like humanly possible. It's like, oh, we're Clemson, Alabama. We'll just be there every year. Like, no. It doesn't work that way. When you get your chance, you've got to cash it in. And it's extremely hard to do so, as we've seen, obviously, from that list that Bill Connolly put out of teams who didn't win the national championship. We've got more to come here on this Friday. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you on this Friday. Braves and Mets postponed tonight due to rain. It's apparently going to rain all night there in New York. So no makeup has been announced for that, but Braves and Mets hopefully tomorrow night there in New York. So Braves off tonight. Little programming note. That means we will have Hawks and Knicks for you coming up. Tip off just after 7 o'clock. Game 3 for Hawks and Knicks, Ben.
Oh man, the A-Town down. I'm looking forward to seeing Trae Young continue his his superstardom or the birth of a superstar. When you talk about the fact that what does playing the Knickerbockers in the playoffs do for anybody's career, it takes you from stardom to superstardom. Obviously, Trae Young is embracing the villain role. I mean, Mayor de Blasio, I don't know who advised him to become. I said the Hawk will not land and all these different things. But I think when you look at what Tom Thibodeau is doing for the Knicks, Kevin, I think he's doing a pretty good job. Him and obviously reunion him and Derrick Rose. But I do think Nate McMillan is going to have this young Hawks team ready to come out there and hoop. And unfortunately for the Hawks, the Hawks faithful, hopefully, man, the Hawks faithful won't let these Knickerbockers, outshine them. Come on, man. Number one, a Knicks fan is a real fan. I will say that. Like, they ain't Nets fans because the Nets are doing well, Mayor de Blasio. You can't be talking about the Nets one night and the Knicks the next night. But I will say, Kevin, I think they evenly matched. I mean, got to find a way to, frustrate Julius Randle. Got to find a way to get, RJ Barrett off his spot. Don't let Derrick Rose come in, off the bench and provide some quality minutes. Trae got to be Trae. Collins got to be Collins. Bogdanovich and those guys got to go out there and, be a defensive presence. I think this is built. This game 3 is going to have a lot to do, with the fate of this series, regardless of what happens after it. I like the Hawks' chances. I just think that they're going to have to do what they do and try to score a bunch of buckets because, when it come down to 3-4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, here come the fundamentals, fouls, free throws, making stops, things of that nature.
Sure. And again, we'll have that for you coming up a little bit later tonight. Hawks and Knicks, Braves and Mets postponed due to rain there in the New York area this evening. We'll come back. Final hour to go. We're talking OTAs. Falcons got some reported news out there potentially about Julio Jones. Oh, it's Friday afternoon, 3 and out, final hour of the show. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. We'll hear from D. Orlando Ledbetter talking about the Falcons and their situation. Conversation we had with him earlier. But Ben, OTA's going on. Speaking of that, Falcons reports out there, and we talked with Daryl about this. He said he thought a deal was already done. He just didn't know with what team or what the terms are going to be. But reports out there, the Falcons reportedly have a 2022 first rounder on the table for Julio Jones. A lot of people think that wasn't going to be possible if that is true.
Well, I mean, number one, when you think about what happened as far as like leaking, the fact that the Atlanta Falcons had already agreed to trade Julio, and Julio, essentially, not getting called. Not calling in to, Shannon Sharpe calling him. I think they're going to keep this close to the vest, Kevin. I mean, it shouldn't be a shocker. I mean, Terry Fontenot said, "Hey, we trying to deal Julio. We want a first rounder." Hello, hold on. The phone lines are blowing up. But I do think that they had to be they had to be meticulous in how they went about who they took the first round offer from, trying to do right by a guy, Julio Jones, who has meant about as much to the franchise as Matty Ice. I just think that, they're going to wait till maybe that June. Maybe they're going to wait till June 1st to say it, because I think it helps both them having to pay less money and the team that's picking them up having to pay less money. Julio don't really like that, but I mean, everybody becomes a part of the business at a certain point. So
I think he still gets hit. It's just a cap hit and how much it fluctuates around changes on June 1. So I think that's what they're potentially waiting on. But again, reports are apparently they have a first rounder in pocket here on the table from somebody to make a deal.
Oh, just like when Urban Meyer, took the job at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he knew that Trevor Lawrence was going to be the first pick, and everybody knew. Well, now whoever got Julio is saying, listen, they tell him Terry Fontenot, now look, we ain't gonna make no announcement, but you said it's gonna be us, right? Yeah, I don't want to hear no breaking news. Shannon Sharpe don't know, do it? Okay, because I'm just saying I want to make. But I think this is one of those cases to where, Kevin, Julio Jones did what you're supposed to do. I was always told when you're in the National Football League, you're supposed to outplay your contract, but you're supposed to cost too much for your current employer. Meaning, look, man, I'm still good enough to go out there and warrant the type of money I'm getting, but as far as like the organization I'm with, they just can't afford to pay me anymore. I mean, let's face it, the Atlanta Falcons have given Julio Jones a lot of money, and they still owe him a lot of money. Unfortunately, if they keep him, they can't keep any of their rookies. So Kyle Pitts won't, he wears number 8, and you got the jersey, but you won't see him on the field. So I do think that Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith deserve a lot of credit for doing right by a guy in Julio Jones who, think about it, they'll never get a chance to benefit from his services. Like, man, Julio, you tear us up. Yeah, man. Well, sorry, man. We got to move on from you. Granted him his trade. Yes, they wish it wouldn't have came out. Yes, they wish they would have had full autonomy when it come to being able to not let it leak out. But Kevin, a suitor is already out there. Julio Jones is not going to be in Atlanta Falcons. So dare I say that number 11 is a collector's item at this point? I mean, Cody, go ahead and get your boy one before they sell out, because I'm not spending no more money on jerseys that aren't Atlanta Braves. The last Atlanta Braves jersey I bought was a Joey Bats, and Kevin never got it.
And again, I think this is interesting as far as draft picks are concerned, because depending on where this team is, first-round draft pick might be down in the 20s, which is still a valuable pick, but it's certainly not as valuable as a top 5 or top 10 potentially in the NFL draft as well. So I look at this, if the Falcons can get a first-round pick, great. I think that's a score for a guy that, Ben, as you said, is in his early 30s at the receiver position. The history would tell you, unless your name is Jerry Rice or Tim Brown, Chris Carter, you're probably not going to play receiver, or Larry Fitzgerald, until you're 40 years old. So you may have 3 or 4 years left of Julio Jones. I think if the Falcons got a first rounder, I think that's a good move by Atlanta to make that happen. And I think we'll know on Tuesday, which is June 1st, what the Falcons are going to do, because again, they've all known this. Obviously, Julio's known. He's like, oh man, I'm out. As we all heard earlier this week, I think they've got a deal in place that they're just, playing by the rules here and wait until June 1st to make it official. And Julio Jones will be with somebody else.
Oh yeah. And that's leverage. I mean, the one thing, when you got multiple first round picks, you have leverage. I mean, you talk about a team like Atlanta, I don't think they expect to be in the top 4, let alone the top 10. Moving forward, they want to be a playoff contending team. So you talk about the mid-teens to early 20s. And Kevin, if they do, I mean, if they're going to get a first-round pick no matter where they end up in the draft, to add another first-round pick because of Julio gives you leverage. Terry Fontenot is going to – his first ever draft pick ever was Kyle Pitts. I mean, right now people are loving him. Unfortunately, You got to get rid of Julio. Now, I know that's going to sting, but it's the nature of the business, man. I mean, Julio Jones has meant a lot to this organization. 10 years with one team, you have more than lived up and done your part. And Julio wasn't just another guy on the freaking roster. I mean, Julio went from being the second guy behind Roddy White to the second guy behind Tony Gonzalez to being the first guy when both of those guys left to now mentor a Calvin Ridley to now it's time to move on. I don't want to see Julio go, but it will not be no team in the NFC South. I hope it's a team, 3.5 hours away from Flowery Branch up there in Nashville that I think they can use his services. I'm not saying I don't know Mike Vrabel's number. If I did, he wouldn't call me anyway. Thanks a lot, Shannon. Shannon Sharp will make sure that no teams will be letting us know any information before it's breaking news. But yeah, Kevin, he does have a suitor, and you can kind of tell that Julio knew he was going somewhere because when you talk to Julio, like you seen him like do an interview, he seems real calm. Like, look, man, I'm not going to Dallas. I mean, that's all. So listen, you're not gonna play for Atlanta. You're not gonna play for Dallas. So that means 30 other teams. Could potentially, yes. I'm like, is it a team in Nashville? I can't say that. So we'll see what happens come Tuesday. But shout out to Terry Fontenot for getting it done. And hey, man, Julio Jones will be missing ATL.
Scenarios. All right. So there's 3 teams next year with multiple first-round picks. Detroit.
Who cares?
Which I have called. The Jets and the Giants. Okay, here we go.
I mean, yeah, well, you just told me the one team. What makes Detroit relevant? They play on Thanksgiving. Right, they're gonna get a Thanksgiving game. What makes the Giants and the Jets relevant? They're both New York teams that play in New Jersey. No one cares.
But if you're going by the Julio wants to go to a contending team, I think obviously the Titans would make sense because I think the AFC South, anybody can be a contender there, and they have been the last couple of years. And/or I think it could be the Titans to pair him up with AJ Brown. Yeah. And he gets out of the NFC, which means the only time he would probably affect you is if you met him in the Super Bowl.
If you are offered a first rounder by any of those teams, and then say a third rounder from like the Titans or a second rounder,
I'm taking the first.
Are you going to take the cut? Are you going to be like, since he wants to go to the Titans, I'm going to let him go to the Titans.
No. He asked for remember this.
I know you can ask for all you want.
Listen. He asked for a trade, right? Mm-hmm. He don't get to pick where he goes. They're gonna do right by him. But you asked for a trade. You say you don't want to be in Atlanta, and certain beat writer will say he don't want to be with those losers. That's what the beat writer. I'm not gonna say what beat writer say he don't want to be with those losers anymore. But no, they're gonna give him a trade. I think they're gonna let him go to a contender. They've more than done their. They did right by him by drafting him. They did right by him by him signing 3 contracts. Rookie deal, second contract, third contract. Third contract is the reason why he out the door. But look, man, you don't let that man go no New York, Giants or the Jets, and Detroit. I mean, what do they do? Get out of here with that.
Yeah, well, I understand that. To me, I think it's still Titans or Patriots probably if you want to send him out of there to a contender as he was hoping. Other news from around OTAs, and I hate this, not because of who it is, but it's just in general. Apparently, Tim Tebow is just yoked up. Everyone's like, oh, man. It's like, well, he plays sports. It's like the road is paved of guys who look yoked up but didn't actually play well. I mean, at the end of the day. So, obviously, we're hearing all we thought we would hear about Tim Tebow out of OTAs. Trevor Lawrence like, hey, no one's going to work harder than me except for Tim Tebow. He didn't say that part. I think that last part. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I hate that. It's coming line like, oh, man, he looks the part. He comes in, he's looking jacked. Well, I would certainly hope so. If you're playing in the National Football League or Major League Baseball or the NBA, if he comes in, it's like, oh, man, he's got a gut. And he looks like he has not been working out. Oh, I feel bad. Exactly. Like kind of akin to a head coach coming in on the opening presser. Like, we want to play soft, we want to play slow, and we want to try to methodically wear teams down on the field and play boring football. That's what we're going to do here. No, nobody says that. And exactly. Again, so Tim Tebow looking jacked is not in any way, shape, or form surprising. He still works out. He just was playing another sport in baseball. Like, being jacked doesn't help you. Tony Mandarich and some other guys are like, look, physical specimens, you still got to be able to do your job.
Exactly. And the whole thing about it is, I mean, whoever is the videographer for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he knows before every practice, I'm going to take, 250 shots from Tebow, and I'm going to take the most jacked he looked in a certain picture, and that's what I'm going to put out there. No, Tim Tebow, he keeps himself in shape. He looks good. That's like Kevin said. I mean, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow has always looked like Tarzan. He's always looked the part, right? He sounded the part. I mean, but the problem is he's back in the National Football League to not play quarterback. All I'm saying is if Urban Meyer wasn't a head coach, Tim Tebow wasn't one of his best friends, they did not get famous together 45 minutes down the road, would he get the call? No. So, Tebow, listen, headline, Tebow is jacked. Okay, and so is The Rock. I'm just saying certain people are going to look a certain way.
And so is Travis Etienne, and so all
exactly. I'm just saying somebody goes, hey, man, what? Denzel Washington is handsome. What? You saw him? I'm just saying, like, certain things are just, I just listen. I just feel bad for the lady that drew the picture of Tom Brady because she made Tom Brady look unattractive, and she got all the heat for that. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying certain things just happen. Tim Tebow has a 6-pack. Breaking news.
Yeah, and I think, look, you have Trevor Lawrence saying, "Look, no one's going to work harder than me." Great, I would hope so. I mean, that's like a no-brainer statement.
And once again, Kevin, I mean, we say things. We're like, I'm just saying nobody's going to work harder than Tebow. How do you know? Like, that sounds like something that Urban Meyer told you because we're going to bring Tim Tebow on. They knew that you and Tim Tebow are going to have conversation. Tim Tebow is a great guy. He's a great human being. I mean, but at the end of the day, we're talking about him as a football player. And I'm sorry, if we cannot criticize Tim Tebow for what he lacks as a football player to play a position he's never played, being 9 years away from the game and being in his mid-30s, he's going to be 34 when the new league year starts. People need to get a grip. If you are a Tim Tebow fan, which I am, I can still be critical of him as a football player. You'd be like, man, y'all just jealous of Tim Tebow because why? I mean, if Tim Tebow doesn't make it, it's because he's not good enough, not because we don't like him. This isn't a popularity contest. But once again, we're going to see another listen. Like when Tim Tebow was the backup quarterback at the Jets, why is he doing sprints, with his jersey in his hand with his shirt off? Because he knows people going to take pictures.
Yeah, sure.
Tim Tebow, I mean, we might have to admit that he might like being famous. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think he might like being a focal point because when has he not been a focal point anytime he was involved with a sports team? I'll wait. Exactly.
And then some other news out there. Again, this is just from the world of why not. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, of course, this week, you've seen it all over. He's out partying it up in Hawaii with celebrities. Of course, his wife is a celebrity, other movie stars out there. Meanwhile, Green Bay is like melting down because A-Rod doesn't want to come back. I mean, if you aren't going to come back, you're in Hawaii, right?
Of course.
Usually, if you're upset, you're like, I'll probably come back. You're probably at least in Green Bay. You're just not going.
Of course.
Right? I mean, does this signify to you that he's completely and 100% out of Green Bay? Like OTAs are going on and you're not even close to Green Bay.
I hope so because the thing is, Aaron Rodgers will be 37, 38 years old. He just gets Hope Jeopardy, which lets you know that he's multi-talented. Most guys can only do one thing. It's not like he's one season away from being in the unemployment line. He has plenty of money. I mean, I'm just saying I'm not counting his money, but at this point, Kevin, hasn't he earned a vacation in Hawaii? I'm the starting quarterback for Green Bay. I've been to Green Bay a couple of times. It ain't much going on in Green Bay. I'm not talking about the state of Wisconsin, but in Green Bay, outside of a stadium and some cheeseheads, it ain't much going on. Aaron Rodgers saying, look, y'all don't appreciate me. Y'all draft everything but a receiver. I'm coming off the MVP with just having Devontae Adams, and I look at the draft again, and y'all don't get a receiver. I'm going to Hawaii. I will see y'all when it is contractually mandatory for me to be there. Do not pass go. Do not collect $100. My phone will be on Do Not Disturb. If you need me, follow me on my Twitter handle because that's where you'll find me at. Shout out to Mr. Relax himself, Aaron Rodgers.
That's right. So those are a little quick update from OTAs. We'll come back. We'll hear from D. Orlando Ledbetter. Next is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
because I'm playing with a bunch of losers. So that was I added that part, but yeah, it's a given. They're gonna have to give him away pretty much for nothing. But yeah, there's no way he can come back in the locker room at this point.
And Orlando, I mean, obviously, as we mentioned, this thing has been out for months. I mean, when you look at, obviously, guys, they spilled the beans with Shannon Sharpe, but the things of this nature, and they're trying to do right by Julio. Why you think they couldn't get a deal done during the draft, and why you think that Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot, those guys just really kind of dropped the ball on this one?
Yeah, they couldn't get. Well, he's 32. Coming off a bad year, you need to know how healthy he is. So that kind of slowed down the deal for him. And any deal they were going to make was going to have to be post June 1, which I think is Tuesday now. And so it's got to be on June 2nd so they can get the salary cap relief and push his dead money into the next year. So NFL accounting type rule. So, that's why we're here right now. Looking at Julio Jones possibly heading to New England or Tennessee.
And again, Arthur Smith asked about Julio, kind of not very clear about that. Does this team kind of not know what to say in regards to this right now?
Yeah, they don't, because they could have told us the truth, but they tried to play like it was a HIPAA situation, like they were in college and like, oh, we can't talk about it. Because, it's a HIPAA violation. No, you could say, hey, we've talked to Julio. We're not in a good place right now. We're trying to work this out. Just something generic. You can't just come to Atlanta and tell us, well, we don't know if we talked to Julio or not. No, you could, that was a mistake on their part. That was a rookie mistake. And I think, going forward, they do a little bit better job of explaining things to the fans of Atlanta.
I mean, how much does a guy like Arthur Smith, obviously, this is what he inherited. I mean, we talk about a guy like Julio Jones. He had nothing to do with the 3-year, $64 million extension that he signed not too many years ago. But, dear Orlando, you was talking to him. He was, kind of didn't know what to say when you asked him about Julio, kind of gave you the coach speak, kind of saying a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah. But it's been brought to my attention that he thought talking about Julio would cost him a trust bond in the locker room when these are grown men. This isn't college. You could tell the folks what's going on, and they did reach out to Julio. Julio went to the Bahamas. They've been trying to talk to him. He don't want any parts of being here, and it started way before. Arthur and Terry were hired.
The Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out. And Daryl, what did you think about what happened earlier this week with Shannon Sharpe, Julio Jones? I know a lot of people talked about it from a just journalism standpoint. If you got to let a guy know he's on the air, and what do you think the Falcons kind of thought when that went out there?
Yeah, they you kind of, that is, you can't really use hidden cameras and so forth. And, folks are on two-way communications. You got to let them know. But they didn't do that. And, but I think it was kind of orchestrated. Shannon and Julio know each other, and they probably said, well, hey, I'm going to call in and, got real creative with it. It doesn't really hurt the Falcons at all. Maybe PR-wise, but, who cares about that? It ain't going to hurt them one way or another. That now everybody knows Julio is available. I mean, teams have been knowing since March that he's available. So it doesn't really hurt his market value. I've heard some people say that hurts his trade value, that it's out in the open. And no, his trade value has already been circulating around the league.
I mean, Orlando, when you talk about a guy like Julio Jones, I mean, superstar, obviously, Hall of Fame career, never ever ruffled no feathers. Obviously, he wanted his money and got it from a guy like Arthur Blank. I mean, you look at, outside of the Dallas Cowboy, hoodie on and telling, Shannon Sharpe he's out of there. He's kind of, to me, I think he did right by the Falcons, man. He didn't make it all about himself. He was just waiting on them guys to kind of do the right thing and try to help him find a trading partner, for which they still haven't done.
Yeah, no question about it. And the other thing is, they're coming in trying to set a new tone, a new culture. and Julio didn't practice that much, and there was a sense of entitlement as long as he came to play on Sundays. That don't go over well in the locker room, and we started to see that when Tony Gonzalez was given that summer off, and then then Roddy would get a week off, and Coach Smith's over 30 club, and that type of you don't have to practice because you're a superstar stuff. They're trying to get rid of that, and getting rid of trading Julio will help them down that road a little bit.
The Orlando Ledbetter joining us here on 3 and Out. And Daryl, what is the latest from OTAs? What, if anything, have you been able to, I guess, glean from the early workouts here with the Falcons?
Yeah, I was in the rookie stuff, and then the first day of the open set for the veterans, and they've done a good job of getting them ready and getting them into formation and so forth. Some of the people position-wise, Caleb McGarry's hurt. Gano was at his spot. The new Fabian Moreau was lining up at right cornerback, not Sheffield or Isaiah Oliver. Deron Hunter wasn't there. But yeah, definitely going 3-4 base with the mixture of the multiple defensive sets to go along with that. They look pretty good. Some of the veterans are out there. Grady's out there. Matt Ryan's out there. That's what they want. They want their star players all in on the team. And so it's about 5 people that weren't there. Dante Fowler wasn't there. He needs to be there. But it's voluntary, so they're going not hold it against him that he wasn't there, but it is voluntary. So of who needed to be there that's not there, Dante Fowler is that one person.
And Orlando, one thing in the Dan Quinn regime that was always talked about was a lack of development. Like they bring in guys, but they don't really develop them as well as they need to. They expect them to just be able to play and plug guys. How is Arthur Smith and those guys understood that look, we got some guys that we're gonna have to get acclimated to what we're trying to do, but development is gonna be the key because we're gonna have to have a bunch of salary cap friendly guys that's gonna have to be key contributors this year outside of these rookies.
Yeah, one of them got to give Quinn them credit for is Jacob Tutu Mariner. He's going to probably be playing a lot more than last year. They did develop Fourier Ulicon, but, missed on others, Isaiah Oliver and the like. So down the road, those guys haven't stepped forward right now. What they did do is bring in a bunch of guys that know their scheme. Barkevius Mingo, Brandon Copeland, Deron Harmon. Guys that'll be able to teach the other players where to line up and what their expectations are. So that's a good thing, and we'll notice and get to see the development of those players as they move forward.
Daryl, what was your kind of impression of the rookies when they got them in there for the rookie OTAs? I know we could talk about their college film, but your chance to kind of get a first look at them, what were your impressions on that rookie class?
Yeah, of course, Kyle Pitts was absolutely amazing. Just watching him come across the formation in motion and slipping onto the flat. He had a couple, bad throws, but some good catches. Also, the Richie Grant looked good. That was my main focus. Saw Darby run a couple routes. And the Darren Hall looked good. He's showing up at the ball and so forth as a cornerback. Hard to tell for the big linemen because, they're not in pads. But, those guys, Dahlman and Mayfield look good. And so does Graham and the Ade from Notre Dame. So good-looking rookie class. Lot to be positive about with the Falcons rookie class here.
And how fast though those guys like Richie Grant, those guys gonna have to get acclimated to a very, very young secondary that's only getting younger, but those guys gonna have to be able to get acclimated to kind of not really shut down, but be able to deal with some of these NFC South offenses.
Yeah, you don't really need Richie right away. Don't put him out there where he's running around where he doesn't know what he's doing. You can slide him into some situations. We'll see just how good these coaches are at getting these guys in the position and getting them ready to play. He's a guy that you would like to see out there sooner than later. But Graham and the offside linebacker Ade from Notre Dame, let them get ready before you throw them out there, and then you might lose them early in their career.
The Orlando Ledbetter, AJC.com, joining us here on 3 and Out. Daryl, obviously we're getting into the end of May. June 1st is next week. We know that's been kind of a magic date out there. How quickly after we get there would you expect some kind of Julio Jones news if he goes to the Titans or Patriots or whoever?
Yeah, I think the deal is done. They're just waiting for it to for June 2nd to get here. So don't go to the beach next week, I guess is the moral of the story. This hasn't been something that just happened since he went on TV the other day. It's been going on for a while. They're just waiting for the trigger to pull. They elected to be as vague as possible. But, we since found out that, this is out. This is gone. He's gone. There's no way back. They wouldn't answer our questions on if they could reconcile it. And, this was not their problem. They inherited the problem. They couldn't fix it. And now they got to give Julio away.
So you think as early as next Tuesday, we might see an announcement out there as he's going where and where best guess, where do you think he goes?
Well, it's pretty obvious. It's only a couple of teams that could take his salary cap on, and then a couple of teams could move stuff around. Of course, New England and Tennessee is where he wanted to go. You got to throw the Chargers and the Browns in there. Reportedly, he has a right of first refusal, but I couldn't find that in his contract in the NFLPA site. So, 19-page contract. But if I'm going New England, I wouldn't put him in the NFC right now. I would send him to New England with a conditional first round, second round pick. If he's all pro, I get a first rounder. If he's not, I'll get a second. And if he washes out, then, I'll just take a third for my trouble.
The Orlando Ledbetter, our guest here on 3 and Out. Daryl, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care. Have a great day.
Will do. You too. The Orlando Ledbetter, always great having him here on 3 and Out. And obviously he's right there in the thick of it with Julio Jones saying, look, it's an irreparable relationship. New regime tried to do what they could. It wasn't going to be fixed. And he said, look, this thing's already done, man. They just can't talk about it until June 1, when it obviously makes financial sense for him. So where do you think he's going, Ben? I mean, he listed a couple teams there, but who'd be willing to give it up? What the Falcons want there to make this thing happen.
I know A.J. Brown will give up a lot. I mean, he's all on his TikTok, Twitter, just saying, hey, man, come on over here to Tennessee. And, he said Cleveland. Cleveland that beat the brakes off of Pittsburgh last year, that they're going to add Julio to that offense that already got, David and Njoku, Austin Hooper. Then you talk about the two-headed monster, Kareem Hunt and those guys, Nick Chubb. That's scary. But I think the thing about it is, though, Kevin, is, and I know we go back to what Shannon Sharpe did, but Julio didn't say nothing. Like, look, I'm gonna give y'all a chance to go out there and shop me. But then but people get frustrated too, Kevin. Like, think about it. We telling you something behind the scenes, your phone still work. It just ain't ringing. Your agent's still your agent. He just ain't calling. It sounds like, maybe it's almost like, if I'm not there to see what you guys are saying, I don't know what you guys are saying for me to get teams, because I know 31 teams that could use number 11 services. I mean, all 31 of them. But I just think that they say, yeah, but you got to give them $15 million to 2021. Yeah. $13 million to 2022. $15 million fully guaranteed to 2021, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that number is kind of stifling, but I think, Kevin, at the end of the day, he's not going anywhere in the in the NFC. I like how D. Orlando said, I want to win. I'm tired of with these losers. He said, I had that last part. But now Julio Jones, he definitely deserves to end his career with a contender. If he goes to Cleveland, if he goes to anybody, that team is already better on offense. I don't think it's going to be anybody in NFC, though.
Yeah, we'll talk to Chrissy Freud about that. She covers the Titans for USA Today as well. Could he be going there? And Arthur Smith obviously coming to Atlanta. What should we expect to see from Arthur Smith offensive team in 2021? We've got more to come. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here, 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, Braves and Mets rained out tonight. No makeup date announced as of yet. So we will have Hawks and Knicks for you. But the Braves going in, beat up, banged up, been to this series. The Mets with 17 guys on the IL coming into tonight's ballgame. I think looking at their list, they had one player scheduled to come off the list tonight, but 16 guys. You only have 26 guys on the active roster at any time. You have 16 or 17 on IL. That is a huge turnover. I know the Braves have had their injuries of their own, but what a huge series this would be for Atlanta. And again, I think rain in the forecast tomorrow, so we'll see how many they can get in, but would be huge for the Braves to try to take at least a couple to keep pace there in the National League East.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who, you're not going to feel sorry for a Mets team that's dealing with their own, obviously, 17 guys, dealing with injuries right now. The Braves got their own set of injuries that they're dealing with. I mean, Marcell Ozuna, you talk about, Christian Pache, obviously Mike Soroka's not going to be there for the rest of the year. I just think that, Kevin, they got to take full advantage of a walking wounded, a New York Mets team. Now, most of the time when it comes to any other sport, that would be a benefit for you when you got, if 16 starters was out for any NFL team, I would definitely put my money on the team that's healthy. But baseball is a little bit different. I just think that the Braves need anything to kind of, hit the, flip the switch and try to put some distance between them and other teams in the NL East. I mean, we were talking to Bud Ellis earlier. He was saying, look, if a team can go on a 2 to 3 week winning streak, they could put some distance between them. And the thing about baseball, 5 games is that's like might as well be 10, 20 games when you look at what it takes to, the windows in conference games. But yes, no Syndergaard. I mean, I'm just saying that you got to try to go out there and take full advantage of that. I mean, the news of Mike Soroka definitely stings, but he hasn't been there all year. While you was looking forward to him coming back this year, he hasn't been there all year. I mean, I just think that when you look at the Braves as a whole, Kevin, they're good enough. Their lineup is good enough to strike fear in any opposing pitcher. I don't care if it's Syndergaard. I don't care if it's Clayton Kershaw, any of those guys. The problem is they haven't been clicking enough. I've seen this Braves team score 7 runs in an inning. I've seen this Braves team score 20 runs in a game, and I've also seen the same Braves team that scored 7 runs in one inning lose 10-9. I just think that you're going to try at a certain point. We're going to start having to figure out what you have. Now, I think you know what you got in the lineup. It's nice to see Austin Riley really settling in, at third base, really, really hitting the baseball. I mean, I think it was never about his defensive play, Kevin. It was always going to be about his plate appearances. Like, you got to give me good quality, at bats. I just think that if this Braves team can find a way to start getting on the road, start putting some wins together, maybe they can find themselves, not just contending right now for the NL East, but being in the lead and trying. I know you still got, once again, we're talking about baseball. You still got a lot. I mean, baseball ends in October. So it's not like, this marathon has gotten any closer at this point. But I do hope they can start getting some wins in, Kevin. How does a team usually bounce back, though? I know baseball is all about rhythm. Rain delays aren't something you hear a lot. But did that affect a team like the Braves, who obviously itching and clawing to get back out there sooner rather than later?
Well, I think sometimes it can be good. It gives you 2 days off. Everybody should be well rested coming into Saturday. Maybe you get a third day off. So I think it kind of gives you a chance to reset some things and, again, try to get some guys it's a long season. I know only about 2 months into it, but still get a chance to have a couple of days off. Off days are so rare in a baseball season that whenever you get them, they are very, very valuable because, again, by and large, you may go a month like May, 31 days, you may get 3 days off at the most. And you're out there grinding every day. So maybe coming at a good time just to kind of refresh and say, look, let's buckle down the series. We're going to have to face DeGrom in this little short stint. Probably still going to happen depending on when they decide to do this. I would imagine they're going to make this game up sometime later down in the season, but maybe a 2-game series this weekend with the Mets. Go out there and try to steal one while you're shorthanded, while the Mets are shorthanded. Maybe if you're lucky, you get 2 and you keep pace there in the East. I think that's all you're trying to do because everybody is beaten and banged up. And as they said, we want to talk about the lingering effects of 2020, as Bud referenced, 13% rise in folks on the injured list around Major League Baseball as a whole. That's pretty significant. We have 13% more guys taking some stints. And again, it seems to be a lot of hamstrings, a lot of stuff that guys will miss 4 or 5 weeks. come back. Maybe you miss 4 or 5 weeks after that, having to take another stint. So this will be something to watch where, as he said, might it be the one team that can get healthy in late August and September, be the team that ends up winning it just because they got healthy at the right time. And sometimes in football, it works that way where it's like, hey, we got the late bye week in like week 12 or 13, and it really got them rest and fueled them the last 4 weeks or so of the season into the playoffs. I think for the NL East, it could be that as well. Who gets guys back the healthiest and at the best time late in the season might be the one that actually ends up winning this thing.
Yeah, and I think Kevin, I hate to keep giving BJ any type of praise, but you're talking about he's always talking about it could come down to 2 or 3 games left in the season. Which one for the fans you love it because it makes it so that you're gonna get a playoff type atmosphere. Baseball type games at the end of the year. But if you're a player, it's nerve wracking because it's something about having a cushion. You still play hard, but you play looser because I got some games to give away. When I'm always playing catch up, what does that do for a pitcher that's already under extreme pressure when you talk about having quality starts every time his number is called? If you're a reliever, are you saying to yourself, look, I need to go out there and make sure that if we got a lead, I keep the lead, and then I'm throwing strikes, not hitting guys and not walking guys. I do think this Braves team understands how to win. I think that Snitker has gotten a lot of unfair criticism because y'all wasn't saying nothing when he got the extension, wasn't saying nothing. We was 4 outs away of going to the World Series. All of a sudden, he doesn't know what he's doing with the bullpen. No, the bullpen don't know what they're doing when they run out the bullpen. But I do just think that this Braves team, I think, Kevin, we haven't seen them at their best yet because I do believe at their best, there's only one team I think in the National League can contend with them, and those guys are out there in L.A., but I just want to see it because I do think it'll steamroll because you got so many guys that can smash the baseball. It's going to hurt not having Marcell in the lineup, absolutely, but I've seen this team match without Marcell. I've seen them match with Marcell. You would love to have him in the lineup, but I do think, guys definitely got are capable of going out there and getting done, and I'm looking forward to seeing Ian Anderson, add to his prestige.
Yeah, and he'll according to Brian Snitker, get the start tomorrow if they're able to play tomorrow there in New York. We'll come back. No Braves tonight, but the Hawks are in action tonight. We'll have that for you. We'll break down Game 3 next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hawks and Knicks tonight from the farm, State Farm Arena. Ben, game 3, keys tonight. No Braves tonight. Braves rained out. We will have the Hawks for you coming up here in just a little bit. Tip off just after 7. Keys tonight for the Hawks in game 3.
Got to play loose. Got to play fast. Definitely want to try to make sure you get some stops late. Feed off the crowd. Understand that you earned this moment. Trae Young, lead them. Collins be physical on the boards. Force their superstars to make bad shots. Put them in a situation that put all the pressure on them. And look, man, try to get the first playoff win at home in a long time, even though it wasn't State Farm Arena, back then. And main thing, man, just play loose, man. I understand that you've earned this spot, no pressure. And Trae, man, forget about what they say about your ball spot and all the nonsense, man. Go out there and hoop, do what you do. Should be a great game for them Hawks.
Yeah, I hope the Hawks come out. And again, I think you did the job that you were supposed to do, which is go to New York and win a game. That's all you need to do, and you got it done. So you come back, still have home court advantage now through the middle of the series. You got tonight, you got Sunday afternoon. I think a great opportunity to go out and win a game tonight. Hopefully, as you said, between a fired up Hawks home crowd here, which I think they said they're going to allow 100% capacity for the Hawks home game tonight. They're in I keep wanting to call it Phillips Arena in State Farm Arena. And again, I think Trae Young, go do Trae Young tonight. If he leads this team the way he has coming down the stretch, I think the Hawks will be in good shape. Again, it's a pick'em series, but again, I'll take Trae Young late with the ball in his hands to either make the shot or make something happen at home, where they've been really, really good late under Nate McMillan. So I feel like this Hawks team has a little bit of something working here. They didn't lose too much coming down the stretch. See if they regain some of that mojo, as you said, Ben, tonight at home.
Yeah, I think they will. Nate McMillan, shout out to him, has done a great job with his Hawks team. Hopefully, and peace up, Baytown, down all the celebrities in Atlanta, man, come out and show love to the young Hawks players.
Certainly appreciate Bud Ellis, BravesWire.com, joining us here on the program on this Friday. Again, Braves rained out tonight. We will have Hawks basketball coming your way 6:30 this evening for Game 3 in that series. If you missed any portion of the show, ESPNCoastal.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or go to our YouTube channel. You can get a podcasted version of the show. Conversation continues always at Pigskin Radio, See you next